Course 2, we are going to be in lesson 9 today, and we are going to be looking at a new lesson dealing with adding fractions. How do you add an actual fraction? So today we're going to look at simple things like adding fractions. Let's do 1/2 plus 1/2 to start with. All right. Good news is that for this fraction, we note that there is a common denominator between these two fractions. And when you add or subtract fractions, you have to have a common denominator. So we're going to do this. We're going to add the top two numbers and the bottom stays the same. So 1 plus 1 is 2. So the answer is 2 over 2, which is actually reduced to just simply 1. And you know that 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1. All right, so let's look at a couple of other examples. We have example 1, which says 1/7 plus 2/7 plus 3/7. All right, you know that each of the denominators is the same, so that is what the denominator is going to be. And 1 plus 2 is 3 plus 3 is 6, so our answer is positive 6 over 7. Okay, now what about the percentages? Okay, so B says add 33 and 1/3% plus 33 and 1/3%. Well, we're going to add the two outside numbers, and 33 plus 33 is equal to 66. So we know that 66 is our large number. And then what about 1/3 plus 1/3? Again, we have the common denominator of 3, so we can keep that. And 1 plus 2 is 3, or 1 plus 1 is 2, so we have 2/3. So it's 66 and 2/3%. Okay? The biggest thing to remember is we have to have a common denominator. What happens when we don't have a common denominator? We're going to give a couple of examples of that later, but let's do a subtraction problem first. Okay, so look at example 3, and we're going to do 3 and 5/9 minus 1 and 1/9. Okay, in this arrangement, it's easy because we've got a common denominator. So we're going to put our common denominator down. What's 3 minus 1? That's 2. What's 5 minus 1? And that's 4. So again, not too difficult in order to find our arrangement in that way. Okay, look at B of number example 3. We have 3/5 minus 3/5. Okay, so we know that 5 is our denominator. 3 minus 3 is 0. So 0 over 5, anything divided by 0 is 0. So that is our answer. Okay, all right. What if we multiply a fraction? Okay, if we multiply a fraction, 2 times 1/2. What this literally means is we multiply the top and the bottom when we're multiplying fractions. Adding fractions, we keep the bottom denominator. So 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. So multiplying 1/2 times 1/2, we get 1/4. Okay, so turn the page and we're going to see a couple more examples. All right, so in example 4, it says find the product. What is the word product mean? It means multiply, okay? In other words, you're going to have a multiplication. So look at A. It says find the product between 1/2 of 1/3. If you see the word of in math, that means multiplication. So 1/2 of 1/3 literally looks like this: 1/2 times 1/3. So again, when we multiply the top. 1 times 1 is 1, and we multiply the bottom 3 2 times 3 is 6. So our answer is 1/6. Okay, what if we have multiple fractions? Look at B. B says we have 1/2 times 3/4 times 1/5. What does that equal? All right, well, let's multiply the top. 1 times 3 times 1 is 3. Let's multiply the bottom. 4 times 5 is 20 times 2. 20 times 2 is 40. There's our answer. Again, these aren't difficult questions, but just as a reminder of how to do them. Okay, here's a new concept. In question number 5, or example number 5, it says, give the reciprocal of this fraction. When you hear the word reciprocal, okay, reciprocal is how that's spelled, reciprocal. What it means is, what is the opposite? Like, what does it look like flipped? So the reciprocal of 3/5 is 5/3. What's the reciprocal of 1/2? Well, that would equal 2/1 or 2. Okay, what's the reciprocal of 3? Well, if you have a whole number, it's literally 3/1. So that would be 1/3. It turns it into a fraction. So any whole number, let's say you have 20 as a whole number. What's the reciprocal of 20? It would equal 1/20th. Okay, because 20 invisibly is actually over 1. We just don't ever write numbers like that. We just write it as a whole number. Okay, so reciprocal, it's the opposite of what is happening. All right, one more thing. Question number 6, or example number 6a. We have an algebraic expression, and it says find the missing number. So it says 3/4n equals 1. How do we get n by itself? Well, I'm going to show you a trick in algebra. Oops, you know what? That's supposed to be a 4. Let's rewrite this. 3/4n equals 1. All right, I'm going to show you a trick in algebra of how to get n by itself, because we need to have n equals an answer. We need to have it equal something. All right, so how we do this is we multiply this fraction by its reciprocal, and what we do here we are also going to do on this side of the equation. Why? Well, I'll show you. Okay, we're going to be able to see this 3 up here and this 3 down here. Basically, those can be canceled out, and the 4's can be canceled out, because 4 divided by 4 is 1, 3 divided by 3 is 1. So 1 is exactly what we want. We want n by itself. But what we did was we took it over on this side and did the exact same thing. You don't want to take the original equation of 3/4. You want to take the reciprocal. So what's 1 times 4? It's 4/3. So literally we redid this. So n equals 4/3. So if we did this, if we did 4/3 times 3/4, does that equal 1? Well, yeah, because 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 4 is 12. What is 12/12? That equals 1. So we've got our answer. So you're going to see a couple of those examples as well. And then example 7 is one that students have trouble with all the time. It says, how many 3/4 are in 1? How do we set this up? Okay, well, again, think of it like this. 3/4 equals 1. How do I get 3/4 to equal 1? What do I have to multiply it by? The reciprocal, 4/3. And we just showed that earlier. So there are 4/3 that equals 1. So my answer is the reciprocal, 4/3. All right, that's your lesson today. I hope you do well with it, and if you have questions, please ask.